Dino Wells Show. He's a New Orleans native, known for his roles in Tyler Perry films Diary of a Mad Black Woman and Daddy's Little Girl. His voice will captivate you and catch your attention. And without further ado, the outstanding actor, Mr. Gary Sturgis. What's up, man?
Hey, brother, how you doing, Dino? Great, thanks for having me, man.
Man, it's an honor to have you here, and I'm glad to have you and talk with you about your great career and your voice. You got that radio voice, man. You ever thought about doing radio?
I actually have thought about doing radio. So, I'm just going to put it out there in the universe. If anybody out there is employing, brother, we'll do a syndicated show, non-syndicated show, local show. Hey, if you got the check, I will travel to your town and work there. So, yeah, I love to do radio if the opportunity presents itself.
Most definitely. You had that radio voice. So the thing I want to talk about is, now you played villain roles. Do you like to be labeled as, the villain of, you know what I'm saying? Does that bother you any, or, that's just a role you played?
No, it don't bother me at all because it gives me a point of reference, I've done bits and a whole bunch of stuff, and nobody really references that stuff because how do you reference it? Oh, you played the little bit part where or maybe you was the guy that kind of did nobody remembers that stuff. So for me, I don't mind being referenced as the villain or the bad guy because, in every movie there's a protagonist and an antagonist. So I'd rather be one of those because that's a lead role. I'll take it.
Man, I think you're one of the top villain, African American villains of all time. For me, I say the player, the character's dark. I like the essence you put into it, and which goes to my next question: is what inspired you to get into acting?
For me, it was I grew up in New Orleans, kind of Southern boy like yourself. I will watch black people on TV, stuff like Good Times and the Jeffersons and things like that. You see, black people on TV, and one day I turned to my mom and I'm like, "Oh, that's so cool! They get to be in that box, And she said, "That's a job." I said, "It's a job." She said, "Yeah, it's a job." I said, "What do they call that?" She said, "They call it acting." I'm like, "They pay you to do that?" I do it for free, So I was actually inspired by seeing, other black actors on television and what was at the time in the, early 70s, a very white demographic. So when you got to see people of color, it was exciting. I don't care what they were doing. At the time, I didn't even realize they were showing me people that was, impoverished and, in worse situations than I actually was growing up. But that was the reality of how they viewed black people. But for me, it was seeing other black people on TV and realizing this was a paying job. So that's kind of what inspired me.
So do you have a favorite actor or actress that you base your style off of?
No, I would say the best actors in the world are the ones that learn a little bit from everybody. I'm a study of the craft, and there's a whole bunch of actors who I have mad respect for, from Denzel Washington to Brad Pitt to even Tom Cruise. I mean, there's so many, Samuel L. Jackson. I think, the better actors take little bits and pieces of things they see in everybody's performance, and they sort of incorporate some of those things into their own. But I think each and every one of us that do it, you have to start with the basis of having something to offer of your own originality. But then you start to get inspired by other people's works. Like, Terrence Howard, love working with that guy. I'm always inspired working with him and watching him work. And I guess you just look at the greats and you say, how can I get on the level to be able to play against guys like that? Because that's when, to me, you've kind of accomplished your goal in any craft, when you can sort of stand next to the people that you admire and work with them seamlessly.
Have you ever been starstruck in the beginning of your career?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I honestly, most of the time, not. But there was one time, the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to me was, I did this little movie. It was some slave scene in some movie with Robert Duvall and James Earl Jones. I don't even think they used any of my stuff because I don't think I stayed around that long. This is just before I moved to Cali. It was something shot in Louisiana. But on set, it was a Robert Duvall movie, and James Earl Jones was in it. Of course, that's Darth Vader, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's James Earl Jones. So I was really weird when I met him. I must have been about 17, 18 years old, and somebody walked me in. We got a little slave clothes on, running from hound dogs and shit, and they walked me over to him, and they say, hey, I'm going to introduce you to James Earl Jones. So, of course, he sticks his hand out. He's a big man, he sticks his hand out, and he's like, oh, yeah, I'm James Earl Jones. And I don't know, man. It's like for the first time in my life, my voice, I lost all cool. It was one of the situations where I was just like, hey, man, I know who you are. It's like my voice just pitched upward. All the bass came out my voice. I just lost all sense of cool. And as he was shaking my hand, all I could say back to him was like, man, I know who you are. You're like James Earl Jones. I'm like, come back, bass, come back. Come back, babe. So that was probably the only time I was ever really caught off guard. But I've met some amazingly large actors. Sidney Poitier. I've met some interesting people, and not once have I ever recalled myself being starstruck. Some people I was in awe of and seeing, like Betty White. I mean, that's like a legend. To work with her was just phenomenal. But she made you feel like you've been knowing her for years, so it was never really a situation where I got to feel starstruck. She makes everybody in the room feel comfortable. Right. So I guess James Earl Jones was my one starstruck experience.
Wow, that's a powerful story. I almost had that same experience actually working on this movie that's coming out this October called Same Kind of Difference Me. It's my very first speaking part in a major motion picture, and working with
congratulations,
Jaimin Hansu and Greg Kinnear and what's her name, Renee Zellweger. I was just like at all working with them. You know what I mean? That was kind of funny. So I was wanting to know how you felt.
That's great cast.
Yeah, I was like, wow. Well, now, do you believe that we as black people need the Oscar recognition to validate our career?
That's a very interesting question. I don't think we need anything to validate our careers, but I do think in a business where we're supposed to have fairness and everything is equal, our performances should get the recognition that our British counterparts and white counterparts get yearly. I don't think it's so much an issue of we need it in as much as we deserve it. Right. Because we are in the 21st century and we're just supposed to be at a time where race is really not an issue. And the best way to show that it's not an issue is to respect the performances of minorities, to be recognized by the Academy like anybody else. We all work for the same reasons. You know what I'm saying? We do it for a profit. We do it for a living, but we also do it, for the recognition of our peers, and one day, be honored enough to believe that somebody thought enough of our performance to nominate us for an award. And we deserve those opportunities just like everybody else. So I think that in a fair society, in a fair country, it would only be fitting that that minorities, both Black, Latino, and other, would be more recognized in their performances and their movies and their writing and their creativity when it comes to Academy Award recognition. So I don't think it's something we need. I think it's something we deserve.
Right. That's good. That's a great answer too, and I feel the same exact way. Wow. Now, what are your rituals that you have when you get into character? Do you have a certain ritual or certain thing you do to get into character?
Well, it depends on the character. Some come easy, If it's a normal bad guy sort of guy, I grew up around so many shady people in New Orleans. I can call those people up in my sleep. I played an old man once in a movie for Chris Stokes, and in that joint, I guess for that it was a little different because I played somebody quite older than I am. So I just went over to my dad's house, picked up one of his wheelchairs, one of his oxygen masks, watched him for a little while. I just did my character study on my pops and sort of became that person. So For me, I'm a little lazy study. I'm not really a good person to guide off of how you should study. I have a very, very good retention level of dialogue, so I can glance at something and literally learn my part in the time it takes them to set up the cameras and the lights before the scene.
That's good.
It's not so much for me. And I can tell you one thing I do. Some actors I've been noticing do this. I've been listening to a lot of folks' interviews. I've always been the kind that I never really look at what you're saying. You know, if I'm in a situation where I'm doing a scene, I don't really listen much to what the other person is saying, because in a real conversation, I don't know what you're going to say next. So I don't really focus on what you have to say.
Right.
I just focus on what I have to say. And if you say what you're supposed to say, what I have to say should come out quite naturally. So that's the way I kind of prepare to keep the scenes feeling natural. I don't over-rehearse them, and I never really was the type of person that likes to rehearse with people that are not the people that I have to perform with, because they're not going to give it to me the way the performer is. Right. So I don't want to get stuck on the way they say stuff, and then I get stuck on the performance that I rehearse. So for me, it's not so much about rehearsing a scene. It's about learning the lines, knowing what I have to say, and then getting in the scene, getting in that character. Once I see the scenery and the clothes and the, wardrobe, the location, the other person, it all kind of falls into place for me. It's just one of the things that just happens when they say roll, camera, action.
So you like the table reads then? Table reads is awesome for you then, huh?
They're actually funny. I enjoy table reads because, whatever you do at a table read is not exactly what's going to happen when those cameras are rolling, because once you up in the clothes, in the scene, and it's all blocked and stuff, you sort of know the ramifications of space that you can use, what's in the frame, and you start to know your limitations and non-limitations, and that's when you actually get to play.
Have you done theater?
The fun don't really start to the camera rolling.
Have you done any stage work, stage plays?
Not in years. When I started my career, everything that I did was stage. I did a Raising the Sun. I did a Soldier's Play. The third play I did was the Daybreak of Addison Dance, which was at the Contemporary Arts Center, which was my first big play. Mm-hmm. I was actually the only black person in an all-white production. I was a local film critic, good friend of mine, the late David Barron, who actually produced that play. From that, I met Robert Mapplethorpe, which was also interesting. I actually did a photo with him that I have one of a kind, actually three of a kind. I'm looking at it right now. There's only three of these things on Earth with his signature on it. This thing must be worth a lot of money. I didn't even know who he was at the time he took the picture. Look him up. You'll be surprised. I guess he was an Andy Warhol of his time.
Nice.
Yeah, so I guess I've been fortunate in that regard, in my stage days, but I haven't done stage in a while. I'm not against it. One day I'd like to go back and do some stage. Problem with Los Angeles is it's not a big stage town. So you'll spend all this time learning a stage play, and you can't even fill up a 99-seat theater. So the craft it's not appreciated out here like it is in New York and some of the East Coast towns. So I haven't been into it as much because it's time consuming. And I'm producing stuff now and directing stuff now, so I just haven't had the time.
And what is your dream role if you hadn't played it already?
If I had to say, I've written a lot of things that I like to play, but the two that stick out in my mind the most are this 12-foot oil black alien that I wrote in this one joint I wrote called The Blacks. It's a sci-fi joint. And Hannibal. I always wanted to play Hannibal Barker. Not Hannibal, the one that eats people's faces, but the actual dude that, went to fight the Romans with crossing the Swiss Alps.
Hannibal too. Look at that. We got something in common.
Yeah, I actually wrote a movie about it. I'm attached to an animation project, called Hannibal, where I'm playing Hannibal. But in my film, I actually wrote myself in to play Margot's brother, because in actuality, all of the great things that Hannibal did, he actually did. If we do it, like a Hollywood movie, then I could play the part. If we do it authentic to time, then Hannibal did all these amazing things between the ages of 16 and 26. So, all of that great trying to conquer Rome thing and killing all these great Roman generals and knocking off all of these Roman troops, all this happened at a very young age. So to keep it true to art and true to life, I did write a movie called Hannibal Barker, and I am trying to produce it. In it, I would like to play his brother, but ultimately, that would be my dream role.
Wow, that's awesome. Is there any roles that you would not play ever?
Oh yeah, there's one role in particular I've never played. And I'm telling y'all right now, you new filmmakers who keep calling me with this crap, I keep getting this call. Oh man, I got this part. This would be so good for you. You'd be so perfect for this. This is so up your alley. And I'm thinking, oh shit, somebody thinking about me, man. Then I read the script, Dino, and the script be a child molester. That's what we will not do. No, sirree, Bob. Gary don't do children.
Wow.
I don't do kids, so I play a lot of shitty characters for y'all in y'all films, but I don't do anything that involves me touching children. So if you write that kind of stuff, don't call Gary Sturgis.
Wow, that's powerful, man, and I wouldn't write that, but you know, whatever actor does that, take that hat off to him. That to dig into that character, because I don't think I can.
Well, it's a hard one for me. I can't do it for several reasons. First of all, because of the type of actor I am and how committed I am to my roles. That'd be hard to live that one down. You know, people be grabbing their kids every time I go places, and then people won't trust me. It's just, I can't do it. It's a certain, you know, not to mention, I tell people all the time, you know, what about me? Looks like I can't get a grown ass woman. I mean, come on now. I do not look like the type of dude that would be, you know, messing around with children. I would tell people when I see their children, hey, nice to meet your kids. Tell them go over there by the pool. I've got things to do. So I'm not into kids. I've had two of my own. They're both grown. I'm good on kids. So. Gary I don't do anything that shows the abuse of kids, you know, or the most molestation of kids. Those are just not the type of roles I'm interested in.
That's what I'm
I don't care what they pay. Somebody, wait, let me say this, because I remember in another interview I did, somebody said, I love how people test you. You know, well, what if they paid you $1 million? I don't think you understand. If I say that I don't do something, then there's no amount of money that's going to make me now do it. It's not about the money. It's about the morals. So, it's a moral fiber thing. It has nothing to do with income. Who wouldn't want $1 million? But I'm not going to take $1 million to compromise something that I don't feel comfortable with.
Right.
So I want to put that on the record for the last interviewer that just figured she would try me and say, oh, but if it was $1 million, hey, maybe you would compromise your soul. But I'm not compromising mine. There's certain things I play a gay role before I play a child molester. You know what I'm saying? I can at least see the value in that. I cannot see the value. There's nowhere on God's green earth that touching children is okay unless you're in Bangkok, and that's not even cool there. So it's just not cool.
Right.
So this is not a role I'm interested in playing.
Right. Man, that's powerful, man. And you're passionate about that, and I really feel you on that, and I'm the same way as well. Now, what advice can you give aspiring actors right now in the biz? You know, I met you several years ago on my journey in California. You know what I mean? I did the sleeping in Skid Row 6 months, you know what I mean, being homeless, trying to get my feet off the ground, stayed in LA for 3.5 years before I went back to New Orleans. What kind of advice would you give those aspiring actors like myself back then?
I would say, you know, this journey is more like if you had to compare it to an Olympic event, it's more like a marathon. I think a lot of people, they come out of the box and they think, hey, in my local town, I'm popular singing, or I'm a popular model, or I'm really cute, and everybody thinks I should do this or do that. But this is a really tough business. And I tell people all the time, if it's something that you think you're going to hop off the bus and do by Friday, then this is the wrong business for you. This is a business not for the swift, but for the person who has the most stamina. You know, you're going to get a lot of doors slammed in your face, and if rejection is something that bothers you, this is not the business for you. So my advice to people is always the same. What glitters is not always gold. What we do in entertainment that looks phenomenal to you comes with lots of hard work, lots of doors slamming in our faces, and lots of no's. So for every yes that you get to see me perform in, I can show you 10 or 20 no's of things that you won't. So when you can get past that kind of odds, then this is the business for you.
That is powerful. And that's good to know. Like I said, it's good to know because, man, I had many doors slammed in my face, so I already know that. And I remember.
Yeah, you got to get used to rejection. That's part of the job.
Most definitely. I hear you have a book in the works. You want to talk about that?
Wow, yeah, that came about from necessity. Anybody that watches my Facebook knows that I'm a pretty avid Facebook poster. I'm about to do the same with Instagram and Twitter. You can follow me at Movie Star G on both Instagram and Twitter. But if you're on my Facebook family, I tend to have these debates about all sorts of topics. I'm the guy that says all the stuff that you're thinking but won't say. I'm Mr. Anti-Political Correctness. I'm probably the one actor that speaks so much truth that it's sickening, but it gives me a very strong and sincere and loving fan base because everybody takes me at my word and knows that, you know, and a lot of stuff I say is in good jest. People think I'm mad half the time, but I'm in it crying, laughing because I just find humor in the truth and people's response to the truth. Well, I would have these debates all the time with women about, relationship issues. You know, a lot of women bitter about men and why men won't commit and how he did this wrong and that wrong and the other wrong and everything's his fault and him. So it sort of sparked me to write a sort of a tongue-in-cheek book for women to explain to them why he won't marry you. And actually, that's the title of my book. It's called Why He Won't Marry You. I actually had a debate with one woman on Facebook the other day who said, I think you should change the title to it to Why He Didn't Marry You. See, I would buy that. See, this is part of the problem. I actually got a chapter about that. Sometimes it's not always about you.
Right.
And, you know, there's women who come on and tell you, well, you know, I like where you're going with this, but I would like it more if it felt this way or sounded that way. If that's the case, you write the book.
Right.
You see, part of the problem is women need to understand that while you're on the pedestal thinking everything is about you, there's a man that's sitting there thinking, how can I make this woman my wife? And while thinking that, he's looking for signs in you to show him that you should be that end-all, be-all woman. In the meantime, you stand on a pedestal waiting to get rescued like Rapunzel. We have two different things going on here at the same time. So I'm just trying to educate women on why dudes may be a little, you know, standoffish when it comes to saying yes. And then, of course, they're saying to me, well, how do you know? How would you know these things? Well, for those who don't know, I've been married for 26 years, come September 9th of this year. I've been with the same woman for 32 years. So me and my girl have been together since college. So I think I know a little bit about maintaining a relationship through good times and bad times, as we've had both in the 30 some odd years that we've known each other. We've had highs and lows, but yet somehow we've managed to maintain a meaningful and loving relationship through it all. So this is what made me write this book, to help the sisters and women of all races that just can't seem to get it together with guys to figure out why a guy won't ask them to marry him. And hate to tell you, women, but some of the reason is you. And that's what kind of the book sort of covers, is those things that you could do different instead of pointing the finger at him and expecting him to do different. There's a whole bunch of things about men women just need to understand. And maybe if they understood better, they would know better how to approach a man to get him to say, I want to marry you. Because keep in mind, Dino, that's the key here. She wants a husband. He doesn't necessarily want a wife. Men are happy just hitting it and quitting until time. You never hear dudes saying, well, where is this going? Where is this relationship going? Guys will settle in wherever we settle in at, and that's cool until we start hearing, where is this going? Why does it have to go somewhere? But since you want it to go somewhere, maybe a little bit of responsibility should be a little bit more in your corner on directing it where it goes. I guess that's what the book is more about, is showing women that you do have a little bit more control, a little bit more responsibility than you think in getting a man to take a knee to ask you for your hand in marriage. And I think a lot of times in wanting to be treated in such a way, you forget the power that you have and the idea that you need to sway this guy to ask you something. It ain't like you asking him to marry you. He's got to ask you to marry him. So don't you think that's something you might want to urge him to do or encourage him to do versus waiting for it to happen? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm just trying to show women to be a little bit more proactive in trying to acquire that man as a husband instead of being reactive and waiting for him to see the light, so to speak.
Right.
Expressing some things that we feel, but we don't really get to say how we feel much. Women say all the time, well, I want your opinion. I want to know what you think. And then as soon as you tell her what you think, they just do just the opposite. What pair of shoes you think I should wear? Or wear the red ones. I don't wear the black ones. It's almost like they ask you to not do what it is that you ask. You know what I'm saying? So I want to just give them a different way of looking at men and how men approach things, because we don't necessarily approach things the way they approach things. So we're just giving women a different way of looking at things, and it's kind of me and the way that I write things and say things on Facebook. It's definitely written in a tongue-in-cheek sort of way, There's a little bit of language in it. Some of the chapter titles are pretty, funny and out there and graphic, but they're meant to sort of shock people into the reality of rethinking how they view themselves in relationships.
Wow, that's powerful. I like that.
Now we're taking a break, and we're going to listen to Gary Sturgis' theme song, Made by Me. Dino Wells with Music Maker Jam. Check it out. That was a track by me, Dr. Trackenstein, Dino Wells, the Gary Sturgis theme song. Now back to the outstanding interview with Gary Sturgis and his ultimate goal for his book.
It's the ultimate goal. Because I keep saying in the book, no matter what I tell women in the book, I always keep coming back to the same thing. Remember your objectives. Everything is objective based. You want a husband. You can't do things that's going to fight against the very fiber of getting what your objective is. If getting a husband is the goal, why do you want to be at odds with the man that you want to be your husband? So all I'm trying to do is redirect people's thinking and how they deal with situations. Conflict resolution, things like that. Understanding when to shut the fuck up. Because there comes a time in an argument with a man where there's no more to be said here. This is about to go into a dark area. Right. You've got to know when to say when and when to fight the battle and when not to fight the battle. And a lot of the book discusses things like that so that women can understand where a man's psyche works and how it works and how we come from a different doctrine. Like the very first chapter is really interesting because it just talks about how women are taught, to be nurturing with baby dolls and stuff while we over here burning ants and pulling wings off of things and playing King of the Hill. Nobody told us that we were supposed to be knights in shining armor. Nobody told us that we were supposed to rescue you from some distress situation, Rapunzel. We wasn't told these things. So while you waiting for this knight in shining armor, we walking around like, what's our problem? It's like, Nobody taught us these things. So a lot of it goes back to childhood doctrines, and I explain all of that in the book. So without saying too much of what's going on up in the book, it explains a little bit about from childhood how we're just taught different things. So the expectations of what women expect growing up and what boys expect growing up into men are just totally different.
Right. Wow.
So we figure it out as adults. There's no real manual for it. We just kind of figure it out as adults. But women have a clearer picture of what nurturing is and what motherhood is and what responsibility is. Because as young as a baby, they walk around with a baby doll that does just what they do. So I want women to know I'm not bashing. Women be thinking, "Oh, you making a book bashing women?" No, I just want you to rethink some things about men and how men see things. That's all.
I know it's going to be very controversial because, you write, I call you the master of controversy.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. I like a little controversy in it. Yeah. A little Prince on it.
I like your post, like your last Facebook post. I like the one you wrote about you don't have to do all the screaming and hollering, like the pastor doing all the screaming and hollering in one church, and then you go to the church. That was so funny to me. I was like, I could relate to that 110%. Like, why all that screaming going on over here and speaking in tongues, falling out?
It's the same word. Over here at the Catholic Church, they give you the word all calm. Over here at the Baptist and the Pentecostal Church, you got to scream it out at you. You got to jump into the Spirit. Another thing I have a problem with, I'm sure my friends who see it on Facebook know, I'll say it just like I'll write it. I just don't understand the Spirit situation because the Spirit got to be a white dude. Because every church I've been to, I haven't seen not one black person maintain their rhythm when in the Spirit. I don't know what this flailing thing is that they're going about doing, but I'm like, that is not of a black spirit. I don't know where that's coming from. But I mean, I watch black people who could totally break dance and boogaloo, totally lose rhythm when the Spirit gets into them, which don't make no damn sense to me. You in the black church, ain't there a black spirit? Right. Ain't there a black one? I've been expecting somebody to go into the twerk or something, go do some kind of pop lock dab, something. The Spirit don't have no cool moves, man. You just don't have no cool move. Go to any church. Spirit just take the black right out you. It just eliminates it.
Oh, you ever thought about doing stand-up comedy, man? That is so funny.
I've contemplated the thought of doing. I've hosted comedy shows. I love hosting them because there's not as much pressure on you to be funny. They'll tell you, "Hey, Gary, we need you to be funny at 10:16." I'm like, well, I'm not really funny until about 11:35, 36. So I don't know if I can do this. So for me, I like hosting comedy shows. There's less pressure. I have tons of things I say that's funny, but they be real truth. They're not really jokes. They're kind of my realities. I just have an interesting way of wording things.
Right. That's powerful. And what is your take or your opinion on our current celebrity in chief?
Oh, 45? Right. Orange Satan? Okay, let me be real. This is the first time in the history of the presidency that I actually tweet the president because I know it can possibly piss him off. So I find that entertaining. I would have never disrespected, President Obama by tweeting him anything. Man, you busy. I ain't got time to fuck with you like that. But this guy, I tweet him because I know he's the type that'll tweet back. Let me say this about Mr. Trump. I liked him on Celebrity Apprentice. I really wish he'd go back to doing that. I thought it was great that he had a show that allowed so many charities to be able to make, money and bring awareness to so many charities. I always thought that was a beautiful, beautiful thing that he did. I watched this man raise millions of dollars and bring a lot of attention to a lot of charities. However, game show, talk show host does not a president make. Very disappointed in having to watch him do press conferences because I know just as much about his agenda now as I knew the whole time that he ran. It's a bunch of smoke screens, filibusters, and just bad hires. I mean, when you put a person that's underqualified into a job, this shows what happens. This is like letting Pee Wee Herman do brain surgery. Just certain things. You just, people ain't qualified to do it. I just, he's a good guy. I don't have anything against Donald Trump as a man personally. Like I said, I think he's done a lot of great things for charity. But I think he's really out of touch with what America is, how the presidency runs, and what his role is because he acts more like a king than he acts like a president. So I'm predicting before the year's out, he's probably going to be under some form of impeachment trial because he simply does not know what the hell he's doing. And the Republicans will have duped us because they just put this man in office so that eventually Mike Pence can take over. This is all a Republican setup. Trump is a front. That's just my personal opinion. I'd be surprised if the man makes it 4 years with the way that he's going about signing executive orders. I mean, he's cracking off executive orders like New Edition Mama and them was signing contracts. He just signing anything. Just sign it. Just sign it. You know what I mean? Right. He ain't reading the fine print. He just signing shit. And so it's just, I pray for 45, man. I pray for 45.
Well, we're going to come to
him need prayer.
Yeah, you need something. Well, do you have anything in the works right now? You got anything brewing in the pot? Anything burning in the kitchen?
Yeah, actually, I'm directing and producing some reality stuff now. You guys might know I've been working on a show for a while now called Living Victoria, about this transgender internet sensation from Dallas and her remarkably, interestingly funny family. The show is in development now. We're actually pushing to a phase where we're pitching it to networks. So fingers crossed, I'll be able to announce hopefully on your show once we get a network deal. You'll be the first to hear about it. But that's what I'm sort of pushing right now, and that's something that I'm producing and directing. But if you guys aren't familiar with who she is, her name is Victoria Doherty. You can look her up on a video that went viral. You can just Google the words, "Who ass you gonna beat?" and you will find her sitting in the car with her pretty self telling you about a road rage incident. This was actually the video that set forth the possibility of what made this a show. We've gone to Dallas a couple of times, take a gang of stuff, and we're trying to sell this thing. So, look out for Living Victoria. That's my next big project as far as producing goes. In the meantime, I'm also pushing a couple of projects towards the Netflix arena. I'm trying to push a zombie joint called Demise that I wrote a couple of years back. Ironically, when I wrote it, it was during a presidential election, and a president-elect Trump never took office, which is kind of funny because 2 years later, this guy actually won. So it just shows how much art imitates life. Right. So I'm just pushing some scripted stuff. Yeah, I'm pushing some scripted stuff like Demise. I'm looking for a literary agent. So if anybody's listening to this interview that represents literary, I've got projects and I'm looking for a good literary agent to help me push them. So I always like to put that out into the world. You never know who the airwaves will reach out to.
Man, this has been a pleasure interviewing you. It was awesome. Will you give the listeners your how to get in contact with you? Your social media, and just let them know how they can reach you and keep in tune with what you got going on.
Oh, for sure. Well, y'all can follow me on Facebook, is where I live practically every day. It's Facebook.com/Gary Sturgis. That's GarySturgis. Or you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram under the link of @MovieStarG. That's @MovieStarNAG, like for the name Gary. So @MovieStarG, you can follow me there. But I'm always on social media. Anybody who sees me on social media knows that is me. My pages are verified with the blue check mark, and I do socialize with my friends and fans. Dino will tell you that. I'm very active on my social media, so feel free to hit me up there. I'm always available, and I don't sleep much, so wee hours of the morning are just fine.
Yes, indeed. And we're going to work together soon on something. I know we're going to work together. It's destined for us to work on something together. I know. I feel it coming.
For sure, man. Yeah, I'm trying to do a movie down there, actually. I'm working with this woman, Jean Joseph, on a movie called Still I Rise. It's a true story about how her Katrina trailer blew up when she was in it. It's based on a true story. So I'm actually we're in development of getting that done as well. So I'll probably be down in New Orleans sometime this year. As we're working on that. So I'll see you when I get down there. Maybe I can work you into this project.
Most definitely, man. You're a busy man. You stay busy, stay humble, keep doing what you do. Get the voice out there. I know you're doing voice work too as well.
Oh, yeah. Let me throw that out there too right quick. About 2 weeks ago, I was blessed with the opportunity to become the voice for the Texas Rangers baseball team. So anybody in the Houston or Dallas area that listens to commercials about the Rangers, advertising and tickets, merchandise, games, where to get tickets, all that stuff, that's me doing all the voice promotion for the Texas Rangers now. So blessings in there for that. Praise God. Another opportunity just happened to come my way. So Texas Rangers, I'm a fan now.
Congratulations, man.
Yo, this is your boy Gary Sturgis, and when I'm kicking it, my boys from New Orleans, you got to kick it on the Dino Wells Show.
I really wanna feel wanna feel the beat. I really wanna feel the beat. I really wanna feel the beat. I really wanna feel the beat. Wanna feel the beat. Wanna feel the beat. I really wanna feel the beat. I really wanna feel the beat. Wanna feel the beat. I really wanna feel the beat. I really wanna feel the beat. I really wanna feel the beat. Really wanna feel the beat. I 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 really wanna feel the beat.
This is the Dino Wells Show, brought to you by Dino Wells. and special guest, Gary Sturgis. Feel the Beat by Dino Wells, aka Dr.